Hello students, let us begin chapter 1 in today's class. The name of the chapter is Nutrition in Plants. In this chapter, we will study the meaning of nutrition. We will see the modes of nutrition in plants. We will learn about photosynthesis, saprotrophs, and about how nutrients are replenished in the soil. So, let us begin. In class 6, you learned that food is essential for all organisms. You also learned that carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins and minerals are the components of food. These components of food are called nutrients and are necessary for our body. We all are well aware of the fact that food is essential for all living organisms, and you have learned this in your previous class as well. So, now you know about the components of food. Carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins and minerals are the components of food and they are called nutrients. And these nutrients are very essential for our body as they help living organisms to build their bodies. They also help them to repair damaged parts of their bodies, and we get energy from nutrients. All living organisms require food. Plants can synthesize food for themselves, but animals, including humans, cannot. They get it from plants or animals that eat plants. Thus, humans and animals are directly or indirectly dependent on plants. Now here, food is required by all living organisms. We know this. Considering plants and animals, plants synthesize, that is, they prepare their own food. But animals, including us humans, are being dependent on plants or other animals for our food requirements. So, humans and all other animals are directly or indirectly dependent on plants. What does this mean? Well, consider carnivorous animals. They feed on other animals. Now we can say that carnivorous animals are dependent on other animals for their food requirements. Now what do these other animals eat? Some of them may be herbivorous who feed on plants. So these animals are dependent on plants. So carnivorous animals are indirectly dependent on plants because they are consuming animals who consume plants. Similarly, human beings are also directly or indirectly dependent on plants. The next topic we are going to discuss is mode of nutrition in plants. Plants are the only organism that can prepare food for themselves by using water, carbon dioxide and minerals. The raw materials are present in their surroundings. You all have studied about the process of photosynthesis, and we know that plants are the only organisms that can prepare their own food with the help of water, carbon dioxide and minerals. Now, where do they get these raw materials from? Well, these raw materials are present in their surroundings. So, they get them from their surroundings. The nutrients enable living organisms to build their bodies, to grow, to repair damaged parts of their bodies, and provide the energy to carry out life processes. Nutrition is the mode of taking food by an organism and its utilization by the body. The mode of nutrition in which organisms make food themselves from simple substances is called autotrophic. Auto means self and trophos means nourishment. So it is called autotrophic nutrition. Therefore, plants are called autotrophs. animals and most other organisms take in food prepared by plants. They are called heterotrophs. Here heteros means others. In this paragraph, we are given the information about nutrients, which include carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins and minerals. We know that nutrients are necessary for a body because of the following reasons. Firstly, they enable living organisms to build their body. Next, they help us to grow. Then, to repair damaged parts of our bodies. And lastly, nutrients provide the energy to carry out life processes such as respiration, excretion and reproduction. Here we are also given the definition of nutrition. Now, nutrition is the mode of taking food by an organism and its utilization by the body. It is the process of providing or obtaining the food necessary for the growth and health of living organisms. Living organisms are categorized as autotrophs and heterotrophs based on the mode of nutrition. Living organisms such as plants, they make food themselves from simple substances. Therefore, plants are called autotrophs. Their mode of nutrition that can be seen in plants is autotrophic. Means auto means self and trophos means nourishment. So they do self nourishment. That is why plants are called autotrophs. On the other hand, animals and most other organisms take in food prepared by plants. That is, they are dependent on plants for their food requirements. Therefore, they are called heterotrophs. Here, heteros means other. So, they are dependent on others like plants and other animals for the nutrition requirement. Therefore, animals are heterotrophs. Now we may ask where the food factories of plants are located, whether food is made in all parts of a plant or only in certain parts. How do plants obtain the raw materials from the surroundings? How do they transport them to the food factories of plants? After discussing about mode of nutrition, many questions must have popped up in your mind, like where is the food factories in plants located? और whether food is made in all parts of the plants या फिर कुछ parts में ही food prepare होता है. और we might have the question in mind of how the raw materials are obtained from the surroundings or how these raw materials are transported to the food factories of the plants. To get the answer to these questions, let us discuss the next topic, photosynthesis, food making process in plants. Leaves are the food factories of plants. Therefore, all the raw materials must reach the leaf. Water and minerals present in the soil are absorbed by the roots and transported to the leaves. Carbon dioxide from the air is taken in through the tiny pores present on the surface of leaves. These pores are surrounded by guard cells. Such pores are called stomata. Leaves are the food factories of the plants. So with this, we have the answer to the first question, that is whether food is made in all parts of the plant or only in certain parts. So the answer to this question is food is made in the leaf of the plant. Leaves are the food factories of plants. Because they are the food factories which make food, the raw materials must reach the leaves. Water and minerals that are present in the soil are absorbed by the roots and they are transported to the leaves. So in this way, raw materials such as water and minerals are obtained by the plants. Next comes carbon dioxide, which is obtained from the air. Now how does this happen? there are tiny pores that are present on the surface of these leaves. These pores are called stomata. Now carbon dioxide is taken in from the air through these tiny pores present on the surface of the leaves. Now they are surrounded by guard cells. Guard cells surround the stomata. Let us now read about cells. You have seen that buildings are made of bricks. Similarly, the bodies of living organisms are made of tiny units called cells. Cells can be seen only under the microscope. Some organisms are made of only one cell. The cell is enclosed by a thin outer boundary called the cell membrane. Most cells have a distinct, centrally located spherical structure called the nucleus. The nucleus is surrounded by a jelly-like substance called cytoplasm. Just like buildings are made up of bricks, the bodies of living organisms are made up of tiny units called cells. They are so small that they are not visible to naked eye. So in order to see them, that is, they can only be seen under the microscope. There are some organisms that are made of only one cell, that is, they are single-celled organisms. The cell is enclosed by a thin outer boundary which is called the cell membrane. The cell membrane is a thin outer boundary of the cell. Here, nucleus is located in the center of most cells. It is a spherical structure. Surrounding the nucleus is a jelly-like substance which is called the cytoplasm. Here you can see in figure the nucleus, the cytoplasm and the cell membrane of a cell. Water and minerals are transported to the leaves by the vessels which run like pipes throughout the root, the stem, the branches and the leaves. They form a continuous path or passage for the nutrients to reach the leaves. They are called vessels. You will learn more about transport of materials in plants in chapter 11. As we read, water and minerals are transported to the leaves. They are present in the soil and they are absorbed by the roots of the plants. But how are they exactly transported to the leaves? They are transported to the leaves by the vessels which are like pipes. They run throughout the root, stem, branches and the leaves. These vessels form a continuous path or a passage so that the nutrients will reach the leaves. You will learn more about vessels and transport of minerals in chapter 11. The leaves have a green pigment called chlorophyll. It helps leaves to capture the energy of the sunlight. This energy is used to synthesize, that is, prepare food from carbon dioxide and water. Since the synthesis of food occurs in the presence of sunlight, it is called photosynthesis. So, we find that chlorophyll, sunlight, carbon dioxide and water are necessary to carry out the process of photosynthesis. It is a unique process on the earth. The solar energy is captured by the leaves and stored in the plant in the form of food. Thus, sun is the ultimate source of energy for all living organisms. We now know some details about photosynthesis. First of all, there is a green pigment present in leaves which are called chlorophyll. The main function of chlorophyll is to capture the energy of sunlight and use it to synthesize, that is, to prepare food from carbon dioxide and water. Because the synthesis, that is, preparation of food, occurs in the presence of sunlight, it is called photosynthesis. Here, photo means light and synthesis means to combine. So we can say that chlorophyll, sunlight, carbon dioxide and water are necessary for plants, that is leaves, to carry out the process of photosynthesis. This process is really unique as solar energy is captured by the leaves and this energy is stored in the plants in the form of food which are then consumed by animals. So we are dependent on plants and plants are dependent on the sun. So we can say that sun is the ultimate source of energy for all living organisms. Can you imagine life on earth in the absence of photosynthesis? In the absence of photosynthesis, there would not be any food. The survival of almost all living organisms directly or indirectly depends upon the food made by the plants. Besides, oxygen, which is essential for the survival of all organisms, is produced during photosynthesis. In the absence of photosynthesis, life would be impossible on earth. If photosynthesis does not occur, food will not be available. As we know, the survival of almost all living organisms depends directly or indirectly on the food that is prepared by plants. Apart from this, we all require oxygen for breathing. It is essential for the survival of all organisms. Now this oxygen, it is produced during the process of photosynthesis. Because of these reasons, in the absence of photosynthesis, life would be impossible on earth. Besides leaves, photosynthesis also takes place in other green parts of the plant, in green stems and green branches. The desert plants have scale or spine-like leaves to reduce loss of water by transpiration. These plants have green stems which carry out photosynthesis. Now, apart from leaves, in some green plants, photosynthesis takes place in stems and green branches. The plants we see in desert have scale-like or spine-like leaves. They are in this shape in order to reduce the loss of water by transpiration. Now, what is transpiration? Transpiration is the process of water movement through a plant and its evaporation from parts of plants such as leaves, stems and flowers. Water is necessary for plants, but only a small amount of water taken up by the roots is used for growth and nourishment of the plant. The water is then released into the atmosphere through the stomata, that are tiny pore-like structures on the surface of the leaves. So since the plants in desert have scarcity of water, in order to reduce the loss of water, they have scale-like or spine-like leaves. You will study more about transpiration of water in the upcoming chapters. Now, these plants that are present in the desert, they have green stems and these stems carry out the process of photosynthesis.